So, what about the title of your performance, Kudoku? What's the meaning and why this title?
It's best if you respond to this one.
Okay. Well, actually we were studying and researching about different rituals in different cultures, and also concerning about the practice in the rituals. We came out with a root that is on the base of many rituals, which is kind of getting rid of something, try to clean the senses and try to open up the perimeters of this imploding bodies. And also what I liked the most was the attempt to connect a body-mind, so the mind and the body, because we came out with the fact that actually we are kind of dissociated from this part to this part. So there were the practice, the goal of the practice, and this word came out from, actually it's a Buddhist word from this monk, Japan monk, which is Daishonin, and with this word he wanted to mean the the benefit that come out from the cleaning, the practice that cleans the sense, the five senses. So I like this idea of finding my own practice in a kind of contemporary ritual, but going through the same pattern of the rituals in general, so the music, the body, and this dialogue to push the limit of the body in a dialogue of this noisy mind that we carry on every day. And so that's why I choose Kudoku.
What about performing open air? How was?
Well, it's the first time we've done it in the open. Yeah,
Indeed.
and I would say it presents some challenges. I think the work we kind of developed it in closed spaces because we did a number of residencies. So we did one in here. The first residency was actually Garage Nardini in Bassano, organized by U.S.A. And all the residencies we did were in closed spaces. And so it's kind of developed with that in mind, and we also have a series of lighting things and stuff. But it was also, at least for me, it was very interesting, partially because it's very suggestive. It's a suggestive space. It's beautiful here. I mean, it's really quite beautiful. And I think it put me into a different place mentally. And maybe that had some effect on the music and the way that we interacted. It's interesting. It would maybe need if we were to do it more often, I think in the open, maybe we would develop some things in different directions also, because some of the things sonically and with the lights need to be different in order to make it really powerful. But I thought it was a really interesting experience, actually.
What's the relation between music and dance?
Actually, we started together and we went really step by step in a parallel way in order to translate with sound and body same task. Of course, we didn't know what could be the score, but actually more or less it came out with the intent of having a body, a body which was a music, a sound body, and also a soundscape, I would say, that could be more or less kind of hypnotic also, and an ambient, something that I could touch, something that could really move my body, but not directly, I mean also directly through the vibrations and the echoes. But also for me, what we wanted is to find, I would say, a particular sound that could be not a translation, but something that could be really like an inner voice of the mind that make you move and make you go free or crazy. That depends by you. And so also a lot of, I remember once we found ourselves in front of these Kurdistan Sufis rituals, and the rhythmic was very, very powerful. They had to dance in this repetition, and also there was these things that they were doing to cut themselves, and I wanted to translate that things, that the fact that every human being needs something to open up something in the body in order to get healed, to renew something else. I don't know how to explain that, but I guess his music is that what it's doing to my body and to the performance. It's giving me a possibility of push the bones out of the skin.
Yeah. Would you like to add something about?
Maybe,
Yeah, I guess
the sound.
for me, I felt like one aspect of a lot of the things that because when we were doing research initially to develop this, we read a fair amount about various types of rituals throughout the world, and we saw a number of videos and observed. And there was something very visceral about it that seems to kind of bypass the part of your mind that calculates and decides things. So, and that has a lot to do with also improvisation, which is something that, and Daniele likes to talk about that as instant composition, no?
Yeah.
And which is interesting for me because it's something that space is somewhere where you don't have the chance to make decisions always, where you think about it and reflect and decide what are the advantages and disadvantages. You have to do it, and I think there's an interesting thing about that because the sound that a lot of the sounds that we found were things that Daniele found a way that they could sort of, I think, move him physically almost, and I guess for me there's something kind of ritualistic about this aspect where I kind of have to switch off the part of my mind that decides things at some point and follow a kind of a flow, and when it works, we find that we can follow that flow together, I think. So that was maybe a goal for me, was to try to find an architecture, a sonic architecture, and also a choreographic architecture that allows us to find that flow and follow that as much as possible without really deciding things as we do them. They sort of happen.
Yeah, we really go together into a real experience. We know the starting point, maybe I know the first movement, and he knows almost also what is the first button to press, but we don't know actually how it's gonna go on. We want to every time it's a real experience, and that's what I like.
Yeah, that's I guess the goal that for me, when it started to become clear, I think because initially when we were first developing it in the first residencies, it felt a little bit more like a series of things that we were trying to plan and things. And then gradually it became this thing where things naturally followed each other, and it became, I think, at least for me, I started to realize I really had to look for the truth in it, because otherwise it was going to be a representation of something, and that's not what we're interested in, I think.
And also, maybe the last thing that we say is that we wanted to find also a solution to save the architecture part of sound and choreography and the experience. So not to be too much involved in it or too much involved in it, but to make a parallel way to make them to be a bit like outside and inside. It's like maybe it's a compromise. That's what I like in it. If you feel the same.
Thank you.